on a dark, freezing winter night. At the foothills of the mountains, in a solitary cabin blanketed in white, Keanu Reeves sat in silent solitude, bearing the painful marks of the past, when suddenly a frozen, wounded bear appeared at his door. The bear's desperate gaze heralded nature's most unexpected grace. This was the beginning of that unforgettable moment that would shake and change his life forever. Hey you, if you want to witness this extraordinary act of heroism, subscribe now so we can share Keanu Reeves' incredible deed with millions. This story is a symbol of hope and unexpected compassion. Be a part of it, because every dark night shines with a beacon of hope. On a dark, freezing winter night, at the foot of the mountains, in a deserted valley blanketed in snow, an old cabin, worn by years of pain and the deep scars of loneliness, lay shrouded in silence. Inside, Keanu Reeves sat in a time-worn armchair by a flickering fire, the weight of the past heavy on his shoulders. The cabin itself felt like a sanctuary, its warm interior clashing with the harsh, unforgiving cold and the unyielding white blanket of snow outside. Each dancing flame seemed to try to rekindle fragments of lost hope, even as the brutal realities of the outside world remained seared into his mind. In the long shadow of years filled with solitude, past losses, and broken dreams, Keanu's inner world was slowly freezing over. Then, amid the low murmur of the wind and the delicate dance of snowflakes outside, a soft yet sharp rustling at the cabin door echoed as if whispering the most unexpected call of destiny, a note of hope piercing the silence of loneliness. Taking a deep breath, Keanu rose slowly, his trembling hands betraying the inner turmoil as he stepped onto the creaking wooden floor. Each footstep resonated like the steady heartbeat of someone ready to confront the ghosts of the past. When he reached the door, time itself seemed to pause. In the dim light and shifting shadows of the room, he could feel the coldness of the night and the profound sorrow of solitude. As he opened the door, a bear appeared, a creature frozen, wounded, and gazing at him with desperate, hopeless eyes. The bear's icy fur and frozen wounds mirrored the shattered spirit and fatigue that dwelled within Keanu. In that moment, these two beings from entirely different worlds carried within them their own pain, despair, and perhaps even the spark of hope that could unlock the key to healing. In Keanu's heart, this unexpected encounter echoed as a silent reminder that even in life's darkest moments, a light of hope can still shine through. Would the bitter cold outside finally melt the ice within him? Perhaps, by touching one another, both hearts could begin to mend their wounds. The frozen, wounded bear's gaze at the door stirred echoes of long-suppressed pain and shattered hope in Keanu Reeves's deep eyes. In that moment, as a silence fell over the house, its warmth seemingly inadequate, the storm within him began to swell even more. The heavy burdens of the past, the traces of loss and abandonment, seemed to come alive in that bear's desperate stare. Every wound, every frozen scar, recalled forgotten sorrows, as if time had once again brought the melancholy of old memories to the forefront. Keanu slowly stood before the door. Amid his turbulent emotions, a spark ignited deep inside him, a blend of the urge to help and the desire to be reborn. The hopelessness reflected in the bear's eyes spoke directly to his own broken spirit, as if inviting him to say, "See my pain, nurture my hope." Every second whispered the possibility that the cold marks of the past might finally melt away, allowing the old wounds hidden in his heart to begin healing gently. Time seemed to slow down, and between the murmur of the wind and the soft dance of flames in the room, that pivotal moment deepened. In Keanu's inner world, the years-long silent struggle with loneliness and past hurts was now yielding to a desire to aid this wounded creature. This was a turning point for him, perhaps the moment to rebuild hope upon the ruins of old scars. The icy walls within him had begun to thaw under the unexpected warmth of this encounter. Taking a deep breath, with determination and vulnerability mingling in his eyes, Keanu stepped without hesitation onto the cold wooden floor by the door. In the bear's injured form, beyond the pain inflicted by the cold, lay the opportunity for him to rediscover himself. On one hand, he faced the ancient aches in his heart. On the other, he confronted the silent helplessness of the creature before him. In that moment, his inner wounds seemed poised to herald the long-awaited promise of healing. As their eyes met, it was as if two lonely souls were sharing deep, hidden memories, forgotten hopes, and an unspoken need for renewal. Listening to the quiet voice within him that urged, "Let this pain not last forever," Keanu resolved to break the cold chains of the past and extend a helping hand. When Keanu Reeves stepped out into the outside world, leaving the cabin's door behind him, it was as if he were waking up to the opening scene of a long-forgotten dream. With each breath, the cold grew more distinct on his lips, and the snow-blanketed world around him welcomed him with a silent, unforgiving beauty. The garden in front of the cabin, scattered with snowflakes falling onto the weathered wooden floor, served as a gentle reminder of life's fragility. Each crushed snowflake, glimmering like a new hope, striving to erase the painful traces of the past. As he took his first steps toward the harsh chill and unknown of the outside, the loneliness and shattered hopes that had accumulated within Keanu over the years began to thaw. His worn footprints quietly marked the snow-covered paths, each step a reflection of a soul emerging from the confines of the cabin and surrendering to nature's embrace. Under the dark sky, towering trees with shivering branches and frost-covered leaves reminded him of not only the hardships, but also the unique beauty that lay beyond them. The wind whispered like a melody from distant lands, and Keanu's steps seemed to echo a mysterious invitation leading deep into the forest. With every breath, a spark of hope was kindling anew in his tired heart. In the vast silence of nature, every tree, stone, and snowflake heralded a future that promised renewal and compassion in place of old sorrows. This journey wasn't merely about taking physical steps. It was a cleansing ritual that reached deep into his soul. Following the call of the wounded bear's body, Keanu unlocked a door within himself. The frozen walls of his past began to melt away with each step, replaced by the warming promise of new beginnings. Every footfall carried him further from that unforgettable cold winter night, leading him out of the dark labyrinth of his inner self and toward the light. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the silent cries of nature and its icy touch both challenged and inspired him. This moment marked a brave step not only into the external world, but also into confronting his inner darkness, because he knew that at the end of every dark journey, a beacon of hope would always shine through. As Keanu Reeves tracked the bear's trail, he began making his way deep into the forest. With every step, nature's ruthless and mesmerizing chill reasserted itself. Snowflakes decorated the tree branches like delicate ice crystals, while a sharp wind stirred up clouds of white powder all around him. His strides, taken over slippery, frozen slopes, carried a silent yet deadly challenge. The forest's silence sometimes morphed into an eerie hum. The crunch of his footsteps on the icy path, the occasional distant crackle, and nature's whispered secrets all stirred echoes of old pain in Keanu's heart. In this harsh terrain of steep slopes, sudden ledges, and deep precipices, every step tested the limits of both his body and his spirit. At times, as he advanced over thin layers of ice, he had to lean on a frozen tree trunk for support, each fall reviving the sting of old wounds and the memories of darker times. But these obstacles were more than just physical barriers. Every slippery step and sudden outcropping mirrored his internal battle to overcome past burdens and inner conflicts. With each gust of cold air against his face, the sparks of hope within him began to glow a little brighter. This frozen forest wasn't merely a source of peril, it also heralded a rebirth. Every snowflake seemed to nurture new hope in place of what was lost. As Keanu navigated the steep slopes and precarious edges, he could feel every shiver in his body and every beat of his heart, as if they reached right into his very core. The challenges of his journey had transformed into a quest to shatter the frozen chains of his past and delve deep into his soul. Each step reminded him how precious it was to fight for survival, to be reborn, and to search for hope, even in the darkest moments. This journey deep into the forest symbolized the slow healing of his inner wounds and the replacement of old pain with new hope. Every step taken on this frozen ground was both a physical and spiritual struggle, a gateway to rebirth. In this way, the snow-covered path lined with obstacles promised him a light shining beyond the darkness. As he ventured deeper into the forest, Keanu Reeves sensed the presence of a mysterious cave shimmering with the sparkle of ice crystals, hidden beyond the snow-covered trails and cloaked in mist. The howling wind echoed an enigmatic melody through the silence, as if the cave were preparing to whisper secrets it had guarded for centuries. With every step, the sparks of hope in Keanu's heart flared a little brighter, bestowing warmth upon his body hardened by the cold and his weary soul. The cavern's wide entrance offered a dark, frigid waiting, yet within every particle that drifted inside lay a profound secret, standing in stark contrast to the merciless frozen forest outside. As he stepped in, the heavy burden of the cold air mingled with the echo of his footsteps against the cave walls, resonating like the whispers of ancient tales. The ice crystals decorating the walls broke the light into a dazzling display of colors, reminding Keanu of the beauty that nature itself harbors. Moving slowly forward, he noticed a slight movement deep within the cave. In the darkness, tiny shadows performed a trembling dance, each one revealing the fragile and vulnerable nature of life. In that moment, Keanu's heart began to pound rapidly. In the darkest corner of the cave, the presence of small, frail cubs emerged, hidden by their mother's side and gazing at the world with frozen eyes. These little creatures were nothing short of a symbol of hope and rebirth. Their quivering bodies, despite the relentless assault of the cold, clung to life like a tiny miracle. When their eyes met, the numb loneliness within Keanu started to melt away in the gaze of these innocent beings. At that moment, his heart, overflowing with the desire to help, deepened his resolve to share in the struggle for life of both this wounded animal and its vulnerable cubs. The cave's silence was not merely a refuge. It marked the beginning of a journey toward healing and renewed hope for weary souls. It all felt as if fate's delicate touch had orchestrated this encounter. With this unexpected discovery, Keanu felt for the first time in his heart that it was possible to mend his wounds and rekindle lost hope. The cave had now become a pivotal point in his journey, a harbinger of rebirth where pain and compassion converged. In the dim corridors of the cave, adorned with sparkling ice crystals, Keanu Reeves's heart wavered between hope and pain with every step he took. Before him stood a wounded mother bear, fighting with every ounce of strength to protect her tiny cubs. The deep sorrow and helplessness in her eyes echoed the lost and shattered fragments within Keanu's own soul. In that moment, it wasn't just about a physical intervention. It was an opportunity to reach the very depths of his inner wounds. With the weight of his inner conflicts and the pain of the past pressing down on him, Keanu saw his own exhaustion and despair mirrored in the injured body of the bear mother. Yet, even amid this bleak scene, he sought a glimmer of light. Slowly, his trembling hands reached for his old yet well-maintained first aid kit. Each deliberate movement confronted both the darkness inside him and the pain of the creature before him. As he drew closer to the bear mother's wounds, Keanu began to reckon with his own lingering sorrows. Everything he had lost in the past now resonated as a silent cry from his broken heart. He understood that cleaning her wounds might just be the first step toward melting the long-held coldness within himself. Gently but resolutely, he applied antiseptic solution. With every touch, a wave of compassion spread between the trembling bodies of the cubs and their mother's desperate gaze. In the quiet of the cave, this act of healing was more than just physical. It was a quiet prayer for the rebirth of Keanu's soul. Amid the shadows of his inner turmoil and past pain, this selfless act rekindled the buds of hope within his heart. The bear mother, slowly easing under his gentle care, began to calm down, as if the timeless story of healing through compassion was unfolding before them. In that moment, Keanu realized that the pain and hope of both worlds, the human and the wild, were intertwined. With all his courage, he had embraced this act of sacrifice to mend not only his own wounds but also to protect these fragile lives. As he prepared to leave the cave with slow, determined steps, a slight smile and a profound inner peace shone in his eyes. Every wound, every pain, became a lesson in that silent space. Keanu felt the healing power of compassion, sacrifice, and hope, even if the process was painful. This act of care was not only a salve for the injured creature before him, but also a healing balm for his own soul. Emerging from the deep silence of the cave, Keanu Reeves began the arduous journey back, accompanied by the mother bear and her tiny cubs. The painful yet tender memories, tucked away in the dark corners of that cave, had sparked a new hope in his heart. The sound of footsteps merging with the stillness of the frozen forest symbolized both a physical and spiritual struggle. Each step on the snow-covered trails heralded a rebirth. As the cold brushed sharply against his face, the fire within Keanu gradually rekindled. With every step he took through the rugged terrain, between frozen slopes and sheer precipices, his journey transformed into a cleansing ritual, one that pieced together the broken fragments of his past. While the wind enveloped him with its icy breath, he felt each stride fill him with fresh emotions of hope and determination, replacing the scars of old wounds. The obstacles nature presented were no longer just challenges to overcome. They had become lessons that illuminated the darkness within his soul and symbols of renewed life. The mother bear, driven by the instinct to protect her cubs, silently guided Keanu, who pressed forward with a newfound warmth and sense of security in his heart. As the wind swept, snow-covered trails slowly began to catch the first hints of daylight. The break of dawn after the cold night further solidified the hope growing within him. With every step, this journey deep into the frozen forest opened a new window into Keanu's inner world. The painful traces of the past gradually lessened with each shiver of his frozen body, replaced by the hope that now blossomed inside him. Determination and the sparkle of rebirth shone in his eyes, filling his weary frame with a rejuvenated strength. During brief rests among the snow-laden trees, as he paused to catch his breath, the shadows of the past slowly faded from his mind, replaced by a genuine sense of peace. Despite all nature's hardships, with every step he took, he felt that life and compassion had been restored. Finally, as the silhouette of the cabin appeared on the horizon, Keanu, tired yet filled with hope, deeply realized that this journey was not only a physical return, but also a step forward for his soul, a movement away from past pain toward a new beginning. As the mother bear and her cubs reunited with the embrace of nature, Keanu's inner journey was crowned with the triumph of rebirth and hope. Every step reminded him that even in the darkest nights, light exists, and that compassion and sacrifice possess the power to heal the spirit. As the sun slowly rose over the snow-covered valley, golden rays streaming through the cabin's window gently illuminated the tired yet hopeful expression on Keanu Reeves's face. After the arduous journey, the old loneliness and deep pain had given way to an inner transformation, a warmth born of compassion and rebirth. The cabin had shed its cold, haunting memories, transforming into a space where new hopes sprouted in every corner, a living testament to renewal. As Keanu glanced at the door one last time, he recalled every moment he'd experienced behind the frozen forest, the cave, and those treacherous slopes. Each step, each struggle, had taught him that even in the darkest moments of life, light could still exist. With the mother bear and her tiny cubs returning to the wild embrace of nature to continue their own journey, Keanu watched their story and his own transformation with a profound inner peace from within the cabin. This change was more than just a physical journey. It was a healing that emanated from the depths of his soul, a quiet victory where old wounds were slowly replaced with new hope. In Keanu's heart, years of bitterness and sorrow melted away through acts of sacrifice and compassion, giving rise to a reborn love and vibrant energy for life. The cabin's warmth, combined with the dancing flames of the fire, had left behind the loneliness of cold nights, filling every corner with the sound of life, healing, and rebirth. As the dark memories of the night faded with the first light of morning, Keanu realized that his inner journey hadn't ended. It had merely opened the doors to a new beginning. Every tender touch, every act of sacrifice had shown him that even in the most desperate moments, hope could blossom anew. At last, the old wooden door standing before the cabin was no longer just a relic of the past. It had become a gateway woven with hope and love for the future. Despite all the pain life had brought him, Keanu Reeves had risen again, transforming the dark nights into radiant days. Hey you, if you've witnessed this extraordinary transformation and inspiring story, subscribe now and become part of this incredible journey. Remember, even in the darkest nights, there is always a beacon of hope, if we just believe in it and embrace the miracles life has to offer.